So I would anticipate if you've ever struggled with maybe acne or rosacea or eczema, you probably tried a lot of things, right? You may have been given a topical cream or an antibiotic, asked your best girlfriend what product she used, ran over to the beauty counter and bought a ton of products. And you might be frustrated because you've tried just about everything, except what I'm about to dive into. It's not your fault in many ways that despite your best efforts, you have been using the serums, the salves, taking the medication, because what you may not be aware of, your brain, your nervous system, and your skin are all intimately and intricately connected because they're all derived from the same layer of embryologic tissue. And there is this bi-directional communication between all of them. So, perfect example, right? I am talking to you right now, and full disclosure, my pits are really sweaty. I'm a little nervous. That is real time, my brain talking to my skin, right? I would imagine you might have had that experience as well. You are walking into a room full of people you don't know. Maybe your palms are a little sweaty, or you're flushing when you have to speak in front of a crowd. That is real-time communication between your brain and your skin. Now, how does this play into your acne flaring or your rosacea flaring? Here's how. Your nervous system, your immune system, your skin, and your endocrine system are all connected, right? So we know that the brain, the skin, and the nervous system are all talking, but there are other systems that are also impacted by the messages that the nervous system essentially is command central. And it is always functioning in your best interest, in service of your survival. We call it neuroception. Your nervous system is always scanning for cues of danger, whether that be cues from your internal environment or your external environment. And then it sends signals to your immune system, to your skin, and to your hormones so that it can mount a response, right, to get you out of harm's way. What many people may not know is your brain, has this mechanism, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It's responsible for your stress response. But your skin actually has its very own HPA axis as well. So your skin is both a target and a source of stress hormones and inflammatory signaling. So that is something that you may not have known before, but plays a critical role in why just using topical treatments or oral medications may not be enough, because we haven't been addressing what is activating or triggering your nervous system, thinking that it's under threat, right? So the opportunity is that we can invite our bodies into a different experience. Not only is your nervous system capable of perceiving cues of danger and threat, it also has the capacity to perceive cues of safety. And so that is what I teach people, is how to create a felt sense of safeness inside your body and also in your environment, so that your nervous system can turn off the signaling that it's sending to your immune system and your endocrine system and all your other systems, so we can function more optimally. When our body is under a perceived threat of danger, what we are wired for is survival. So our body is going to prioritize the functions that it thinks it needs to do to keep us alive, that means that all our resources are going to go towards our lungs so that we can breathe, our heart so we can pump the blood, and to sending fuel and oxygen and energy to our muscles so we can get away from danger. At the same time that our resources are going to our organs to get us out of harm's way, there are other organs that our resources are being diverted away from. Most specifically and importantly, when it comes to skin health, is your gut. So there's a lot of information, I'm sure you've seen on social media perhaps, that everyone says, fix your gut, heal your gut, and you'll be fine. Like, that's the answer. My invitation for you is to ask the question, why is my gut out of balance in the first place? Why is my gut having issues? This goes back to your nervous system being a little dysregulated. It's on high alert. When your body has a felt sense of being under duress, you do not need to digest food. You do not need to be having sex and reproducing. Yeah. So this is also where fertility issues can come into play. What happens with your gut specifically is stress, your stress hormone cortisol goes up, noradrenaline, adrenaline goes up, gut motility slows down. You might experience bloating. You might experience maybe increased motility and diarrhea. What happens when the gut motility and function is out of balance is your gut microbiome. All those good and bad bacteria that are supposed to be in good balance, they go out of balance. And then you have these quote unquote bad bacteria that can produce something called lipopolysaccharide, which can poke holes in the gut lining, making your gut leaky. When the gut is leaky, more inflammatory signaling can escape. There's more food sensitivities. This is where a lot we're experiencing, people are noticing more food sensitivities. And there is that connection between the gut and the skin. Leaky gut leads to inflammation going towards the skin, leaky skin. There's also leaky brain, right? So the gut, brain, skin connection is really important. So this is why you might have been told we need to focus on your gut. This is true, but it'll be a temporizing measure if you're not addressing the root cause, which is what is causing your nervous system to be on high alert in the first place. So this is one of the first things that we look at is what is happening in your life right now, right? I call it a personalized skincare audit. We are just going to take a look at not just the products that you are using on the surface, which is important. You need to fortify your skin barrier and the skin barrier integrity, but what is from outside elements like UV exposure and air pollution, which we know contribute to upwards of 90% of visible signs of aging. But what is going to age you even faster is elevated levels of cortisol and inflammation that is happening from the inside out, because we know that cortisol breaks down your collagen and prevents repair. So poor wound healing and accelerated fine lines and wrinkles. And so this is one of the biggest reasons that we have to look at what is happening in your life in terms of what's happening at work. With what products are you using that could be causing irritation and stress on the outside? What are the foods that you're eating? Are there foods currently while your gut, maybe it is a little bit leaky, could be contributing to inflammation, adding more stress to the body? Exercise. We know movement is so important, but is the way that you're moving right for your body right now? So all the things you never thought about with regards to skincare actually make a significant difference, especially sleep. Beauty sleep is actually not just something that sounds cute. It is very real. So the relationship between sleep and skin is very intimately connected to your stress response as well. Why is that? I'm going to tell you. So it happens like this. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. Melatonin is your what we call primary sleep hormone, because it is produced at other times, but produced in most abundance at night. So at night, cortisol is supposed to go down so you can get some rest, because cortisol is activating. It's supposed to give us energy. It's not just, a stress hormone is not such a negative thing. We need cortisol to help us get up and go and avert danger. But at nighttime, cortisol is supposed to go down as melatonin goes up. Melatonin is responsible for helping us sleep. It is also responsible not only to help us get rest and rejuvenate. It is one of the most potent antioxidants that the body produces. It's responsible for skin rejuvenation, hair growth. We rely on the power and potency of melatonin to really help our skin repair itself. So if you're not sleeping, your skin doesn't have that opportunity. right? So what happens when we are chronically stressed is the levels and the rhythm, our natural circadian rhythm, gets thrown out of balance, and the levels of cortisol and melatonin are out of balance. Cortisol oftentimes stays higher, and melatonin production goes down. So this is one of the biggest reasons that getting quality sleep, focusing on your environment, your bedroom, right? Sleeping in a dark bedroom, blocking out light because your eyes are perceiving light and it can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Making sure that your bedroom is cool so that because we sleep best when we are temperatures, I think studies have shown around 67 degrees, that there's nothing in the way, no clutter. So getting rid of TV in your room, anything that can disrupt your capacity to get quality sleep is really important. And so, if you're looking for like one of the best quote unquote anti-aging strategies, it would be making sure that your cortisol levels are in balance. So managing your stress as best as you can and getting quality sleep. Two things that once you learn these skills and set yourself up for success, they're a lot less expensive than investing in a lot of procedures. I'm not anti-procedures. I'm just saying they can be pricey and you can be empowered to take control of the things that you can control that will actually support your skin health and usefulness from the inside out. With regards to improving melatonin levels or your body's own production of melatonin, I actually am not a big fan of taking melatonin in and of itself as a supplement. Some people don't respond well to it depending on the dosing. Some people do experience grogginess. I'm much more a proponent of creating an environment conducive to quality sleep, as well as perhaps if you want to take supplementation, using supplements that support your body's ability to get rest, to turn on that rest and relaxation response, that parasympathetic, what we call that ventral vagal response. And that would be looking at things like chamomile, valerian root, melissa or lemon balm, hops, and then what we call adaptogens, herbs like ashwagandha, rhodiola. These are all available and have been researched to really help regulate that stress response, to help bring us back into balance. They're meant to support our ability to rest and repair. So before you go out buying a bunch of melatonin supplements, I would caution against that because some research has said that if we may be potentially suppressing our body's own capacity to produce melatonin, and we really want to optimize our abilities' innate function to produce the most potent antioxidant, or at least one of them, that our body can produce. Lavender has also been thought to be very supportive of sleep. I personally will use like a lavender mist on my pillow at times. So I would turn towards using products that can support your own body's capacity to produce melatonin. As you are exploring and experimenting with any new products, you might find that some work better for you than others. We know for some people, rhodiola, for instance, can be a little bit more energizing. So it may be something that you take in the morning as an adaptogen versus something that you take in the evening. Similarly, maybe valerian root is something that you may have tried that created a little bit more energizing of a response. So your body essentially is like the most amazing lab. So no data is bad data. Even if you get essentially a crappy night's sleep, it sucks, right? That you've lost a little bit of sleep, but you gained a lot of great information. That particular herb or supplement may not be appropriate for you to take in the evening or late afternoon. Maybe experiment with it in the morning and see how you do. Because we are all individuality. We all respond to things in different ways. So just because it worked for your girlfriend, don't just take it at face value. You may have to do your own little experiments. When we talk about the brain, skin, nervous system connection and inflammation, as I mentioned, there's what we call the NICE network, right? Neuroimmune, cutaneous, endocrine. And so when our nervous system perceives that there is some sort of stressor, either external or internal, it's going to send signals, including inflammatory signaling, increase in cytokines. And again, your skin is both a source and a target of that signaling and stress response. And so what we find is that your skin, if you think about it this way, your nervous system, the language of your nervous system is sensation. The language of our body oftentimes is movement, right? There's blood moving through our body, our lymphatics, tears, all of that. The language of your skin is expression of how all the other systems in your body are communicating and functioning. So your skin actually is a window into, it's a reflection of kind of your overall health and well-being. And so inflammation is a signal. I think if I can share anything, is not to view what on the surface of your skin as something having gone so wrong or something that your body is sabotaging you. It's really an invitation to get really curious about what might be happening. Why is my skin so inflamed, right? And this is the opportunity to be like, am I sleeping? How am I eating? When it comes to diet, I am not dogmatic about anything other than trying to eat a predominantly anti-inflammatory diet, right? We know that the standard American diet of highly processed foods, increased added sugars, it makes it really difficult for our body to get the nutrients that it needs to process that. And actually, as a result, can contribute to leakiness in the gut, can contribute to system-wide global inflammation. Again, that connection between the gut and the skin, it will show up on the surface. So the other thing about diet, talking about us, I think everyone is concerned about aging well. Added sugars are, and some of our cooking methods, like I love barbecue and grilling, but it has been shown that added sugars and certain cooking modalities can increase what we call accelerated glycation end products. And these accelerated glycation end products are essentially proteins that bind onto your collagen and your elastin, which is what gives your skin that supple, plump, useful appearance. When these accelerated glycation end products bind to the collagen and elastin, it makes those tissues less elastic. It makes it more stiff and friable, and it causes breakage, accelerated fine lines and wrinkles, right? So what we eat matters. How we sleep matters. Who we spend our time with matters. All the things that can contribute to an inflammatory response. So your skin actually is giving you a wealth of information. And I know it can feel very frustrating, right? Our mood can affect our skin and our skin can affect our mood. But I would offer that when your skin may be flaring, it's an opportunity to get really curious about what might you need right now. How might you need to care for yourself? It's an invitation for self-care, not for, as many of my clients, they struggle with shame and embarrassment and self-loathing. And it's really an opportunity to change that narrative because your skin is offering you a lot of great information, ways for you to be able to support yourself. A lot of conditions that are very common in women, especially us midlife women, acne, hormonal acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis, conditions like HS. When patients are asked what is the number one trigger for them of their skin condition, stress typically comes out as number one. There was a recent survey, I think in rosacea, it was like, I don't know, upwards of almost 88% said that stress was the number one trigger. Same with several other conditions, which is why I keep emphasizing not all stress is bad stress. It's the chronic stress, the ongoing stress, the relentless pressures that we can't always control juggling a career and family, but recognizing that stress is having an impact gives you an opportunity to look at what are the things that you can perhaps delegate, maybe delete, and really be able to prioritize the things that you absolutely need to do to create a little bit more space and time for yourself.